Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? It's another perfect day here in eastern Kansas. The sun is shining. Took a walk out through the garden and see everything that I need to go out and pick here after I get done talking to you all. Picked the first peach off of. I just had a big breakfast and picked the first peach off for my dessert. So those are coming in well. The apples are coming in well. The pears are coming in well. The peaches are coming in well. Everything's coming in well. I want to talk today about the unthinkable and the importance of thinking about the unthinkable. By the way, I should have welcome to everyone. Welcome especially to the new people who have joined us, both on YouTube and on Patreon. The Patreon channel is growing so quickly; it's really surprising me, and so I'm glad those of you who have recently joined us have, and you've found how much more there is on the Patreon channel than on the YouTube channel. And for those of you who haven't, you may be thinking about it. I want to share with you. I realized I should be doing this, but I haven't. Let me tell you what I've put up on the Patreon channel that have not been on the YouTube channel just in the last couple of weeks. This is an indication, okay? Lighting and prepper fitness. Real fighting. Not what most people think. I take this from my own background, my own personal experience, not what I've read in a magazine or a book or seen on YouTube. Improve your health and improve your preparedness. So important. People don't realize how much those two correlate. What to do with the money? That was I was answering a question from one of our patrons over there who sent a message. That's what you can do also. If you're with us on Patreon, you can send me a direct message. I'll either answer your questions or whatever, or use it as the base to make a video for other patrons. And this was a question from one of our patrons. He's recently retired from the Army. He's a triple dipper. Well, he's got 3 checks coming from the Army, 1 from the retired VA, and then Social Security. He's really well set up, but he asked me what to do with the money. I do talk about that, and I kind of know what I'm talking about there. So, and a lot of people have those questions. You know. Another one: what to do if you are raided? Raided by whom? Right? Okay. Your health as a prep, and it's a very important one that a lot of people in the preparedness. I said I'm going to get away from that preparedness world, preparedness community. A lot of people who think, who try to prepare, they don't think about their health enough. Another one, how long do you want to live? I talk about some things that you may not have thought about. Let me put you off here for just a second. Okay, I wanted to let that siren, that ambulance go by. That siren, didn't figure you needed to hear that. That brings up something else. People have asked me, Steve, why do you live in the suburbs? And I'm going to make another one. I've talked about it a little bit before, but I am going to make that because I think a lot of people wonder about that. Well, this is a preparedness channel. Why don't you live out, way out somewhere? There are many, many layers to preparedness. And as I've said before, yes, well, I'm not even going to go into my layers. I live in the suburbs for reasons. I could live anywhere I want. I make my living, with the internet and writing books. I don't have to live here, but I choose to live here, and there's some very, very good reasons for it. That being one, ambulance just went by. Emergency medical care. If you live way out somewhere, I've known a lot of people, family members, who have died because they lived way out, and medical attention was not able to get to them. And you might know people like that too. And the day may come when we will have to take care of all that ourselves, but the day has not yet come. And for right now, you have a medical emergency here around where I live, you're going to have an ambulance there in a few minutes. there's one of the many, many reasons that I choose to live in the suburbs. I'll do a separate one on that. Did I say how long do you want to live? I cover things on that you may not have talked about. How to improve your life 100%. And then living under martial law. Another one, why you should carry a cheap knife. You know, I see so many ads about these expensive knives, and this again comes from experience. I mean, experience, how many years have I mean, 50 years, almost 50 years of experience. Okay, living a preparedness lifestyle, living the street life, you know, surviving, preparing, all this. You should carry a cheap knife, and I tell you why. And then about groups, answering a patron's question about groups. So those are just some of the things that I've put up on Patreon that I have not put up on YouTube just over the last few weeks. And this is why you should consider coming over there. It's only $1 a month, and the information you get is so much more. There's another level. If you choose to go there, it's only $5 a month, but you do what you want. Now, why do I put these? I'll answer this before we get to today's topic about the unthinkable. Why do I put those on Patreon and not on YouTube? Very simple. We have a overall, and I always claim to have the smartest commenters and viewers in YouTube land, and I hold to that. All you got to do is read the comments and you'll find. I occasionally have to take some off. I don't have many trolls. I'll put it that way. I hear a lot of people talk about trolls. I don't know if I have any. Maybe that'll bring one out. Who knows? But I don't have many. What I do have on YouTube, to be very honest, and it's too bad, are ridiculous, stupid, and sometimes argumentative comments. Okay, and I don't believe that they're really trolls. They're just they're a personality type that is a negative personality type. I don't put up with negative personality types. I don't put up with snarkiness, with rudeness, with impoliteness, things like that. And I don't have that. We do not have that over on the Patreon side. Let's see who's calling me. Nobody that I know. We don't have that on the Patreon side. We have a group, a community over on Patreon that is so sharp, so smart. I always say, make sure after you've watched my videos over there, go to the community. First off, read the other comments down there, because I'll tell you, the difference between YouTube comments and Patreon comments, a world of difference. And then go to the community page. Tom Usher, one of our people over there, is putting up a series now on lighting for SHTF. I'm looking forward to reading that. Triple G puts up a lot of stuff. He put up something very interesting that made me think about this. I'll get to that in a minute. Mike Hoskins, very smart guy, will put up stuff, you know, EMP related, things like that. Very, very smart people. And if you will become a part of that, you will increase your preparedness knowledge base exponentially. So that's my invitation. It's really not a pitch, it's my explanation about if you are serious about preparedness and you are not yet with us on Patreon, you need to be, you should be, I hope you will be, and I invite you to, and the link is down below. Love to have you and look forward to seeing you over there. Okay, remember that all of my videos are brought to you by my series of books, the Stonemont series, the Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune, available on Amazon, link below, or through my website directly, stonemont.us. stonemont.us. Yeah, you can get the books, the t-shirts, and pretty soon the mugs on that website. And you know, people have hundreds of thousands of people around the world been learning from these books since 2017. Many people send me, you know, emails and things saying it's the best series they've ever read. They've learned so much from it. They learn something on every page. I have people who say they have read through the whole series 5 times and continue to learn things, pick up things that they hadn't seen their first 4 times through, right? Okay, so that's it. And if you order it through me, through our website, stonemount.us, then I get a chance to autograph them for you, and I love doing that. So that's that. Let me have a sip, and we're going to talk about the unthinkable. Okay. Recently, I did a review on that movie. What was it? Sound of Freedom. Everybody's doing that now. You know, I did it immediately after it came out. Now everybody else is jumping on it. And I did not particularly recommend the movie simply because it was too tame. And you know, I got a lot of comments saying, well, you know, but the average person doesn't really want to get into the really dirty stuff. They would be repelled by the reality of things, and that's true, but that's the problem. Okay. I put up one recently about the danger of the cartels. Some people didn't seem to think that was a something to be taken seriously. That's a problem. Triple G sent something yesterday, I think it was, and he's one of our really good guys down in Texas, and he said that he was driving from, and I don't remember whether he put this in the community section or whether he put it in a comment or a message directly to me, so I won't identify the area. But he said he was surprised to see coming out of, what's the new name of Fort Hood down there? I don't know. Cavazos or something? I don't know. I will never think about it like that. 20 years from now, I'll probably say Fort Hood, you know. He says he saw vehicles, up-armored Humvees coming out with those microwave crowd control dispersal devices on the tops, and he said he was going towards a town. He had never seen that before. Never seen that before, and it was a great surprise. Now, whether that was a specific person, whether there was purpose, or whether that was simply, you know, were they on an exercise? Probably. Or whether that was a repositioning of equipment for a certain reason. We don't know, and we won't know. And I mean, there's plenty of people who do know, and I'll guarantee you there's some specialist or sergeant that told his wife or girlfriend why. And you know, if you want to find these things out, you can. You know, you can. There is nothing you can't find out from our standpoint. Now, here's something I want to throw in, just because I mentioned the cartels. You want to find something out from our side, you can find out anything. Anything. I know that people have thought there's great secrets out there. There's always a way to find out the secret. When I was working undercover, and I was with one of the federal task forces, organized crime task forces, I happen to know about organized crime from my own life. And when I first walked into their office, you know, they're big about, you've seen on TV, and it's just like that. They have those big boards, right, with like the family, the head guy right up there, and then they got all these other pictures of people and arrows pointing all over the place and explanations. And I walked in there and I looked at it, and you know, they had a couple things basically right. They had so much wrong, and you can't tell them, you know, because after all, they're the feds. They know, you know. They're the office guys. They're the guys that think they know it all. You can't tell them. They were so off on so much, you can't believe it. Lesson. You can find out anything you want to know about our side. Why do I say that? For anybody ready to jump on and say, no, you can't, it's all... I've done it, Jack. I've done it. That was my business for a long time. But our information from most of the people on our side, what they understand about the potential enemies, it's sadly underwhelming. And the same with the cartels, the same with Chinese coming into our country. All of that. And the problem is the people on our side think we know it all. Well, our side knows so little. It's scary. Scary. Well, this brings me, that was just kind of an offshoot because it led into it. When I see these things, like Triple G said, it was something he'd never seen before. He never would have thought, he'd seen it. Well, I'm not speaking about that specifically. What I want to make the point of today is that you will never prepare for anything that you don't think is possible. Okay? That's the basic thing. And there will be plenty of people that, I made this the other day. Oh, that'll never happen. This is what I was talking about. Oh, that'll never happen. So that immediately means that person is not going to prepare for it because they won't even consider it. They won't even consider it. So how do you prepare for something you won't consider? You can't. The thing is, if you look back, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, many of you have a lifespan that you can use that framework. Would you ever believe that our country was in the situation it is now? I wouldn't have. And I was already waking up to some of the realities of our government and our country and things like that. I never would have thought it would ever have reached this, because I never would have thought that the American people, as stupid as I thought many of the people were, would ever have reached this point of division and this degree of communist infiltration, to where so much of our government is being run by people who obviously want to destroy our country and bring it down, and supported by so many of the citizens who want the same, and so they have the support. If you've ever read John Glubb's Fate of Empires, and if you haven't, you should. You can find it online in a PDF. It's 30 pages, something like that. Read it for free. He tracks the empires throughout history, and he shows the pattern of beginning, ascendancy, peak, decline, descendancy, and the collapse. And he explains, and he does it just very well, very concisely. He says these are the steps that empires go through, and we are an empire. Okay. These are the steps they go through. Invariably, these are the steps they go through. These are the things that cause each step. And if you have read that, you will see that our country, sadly, is in the descendancy. Now, how close it is to collapse, who knows? Things sometimes go slowly and sometimes they go fast. It's kind of like the question asked of the guy, how did you grow broke? And he says, well, first it's slowly and then all at once. That's how these things can happen. And we are well on the road to that. Most people don't want to think about that. They don't want to think about it. They're caught up in normalcy bias. That's a term we're all familiar with, right? They assume that life is going to go on pretty much the way it is. They will poo-poo anybody that tries to warn of something worse coming. They are, and it's understandable, because we are all limited in our thinking by the information we have. Okay. Sometimes that information, there's a lot of cuckoos out there. I'll be the first to admit that. There's a lot of paranoids out there who just believe everything that they read and hear. And these people are the ones that don't want to, they don't want to come out of the house. They don't want to know people. They don't want to make friends. I believe that's extreme. Even though pretty much every conspiracy that I've ever looked into, I finally ended up thinking, yeah, I believe that. Okay. And this is from an old police investigator's standpoint. It's not somebody who wants to believe or doesn't want to believe. I look at the evidence and see where I go where the evidence takes me. The evidence takes me in this case to a collapse, and whether that's going to be fast or slow, I think it'll go in peaks and valleys as we go down far until finally, But if you've watched what happened in our country, I think you'll have to agree if you look at it with a clear eye. If you look at, our southern border, if you look at the unbridled immigration, illegal immigration of not just people, but a disproportionate number of young fighting age males from all over the world, like Robert Kennedy said, and the one that I put up over on Patreon. I put a lot of that stuff over there too, stuff that's not from me. And he said, he was at the border and there was only a couple of families that came through while he was down there that were from Central America. I don't remember if he said they were from Guatemala or Honduras or something like that. He says the vast majority were from the Middle East and West Africa. Okay. Why? Okay. It's not that our country couldn't keep them out if we wanted to. If our government satisfied their basic responsibility of protecting our borders, they could. They could. But they won't. So you have to ask yourself why. And the answer to that is, go for the most obvious. They want them here. Then you spring from that, why do they want them here? Well, why would you want something inside your country that is designed to hurt your country? It's because you want to take your country down. I mean, there's no other way to look at it than that, right? So when we think about the unthinkable, that's a good place to start. The taking down of our country, the collapse, the taking down, whether it's a passive or an active act, doesn't matter. The financial system is collapsing. Why? Because of actions. And then when you look at the type of people who are coming in to control our country, so many Chinese here, very sharp Chinese, and I know some Chinese people I think the world of. I have some friends, I have customers who are Chinese, great folks. Boy, they can't stand the CCP. They can't stand mainland China. And a couple of them are from mainland China. But when you get the kind of people coming in here that are coming from China, they're setting up for an internal, what would you call it? Not an invasion, but an outvasion. When you look at the control that the cartels have over so much of the country, and if you don't think they do, please look into it more. You need to educate yourself. The cartels are in everything in this country. They are so much more than Italian organized crime. You can't believe it. They are a different world. I've told this story before. I was undercover shortly after Carter let Castro empty his prisons here in that boat lift. We saw a type of person coming into our country that we have never seen before. Ever. It was an entirely different kind of person. It was animalistic. It was a type that, and we have somebody on the Patreon channel that referred to this, and they were exactly right. They delight in their gruesome terror. And that is, the average person can't imagine that. The average person refuses to think about it. And so the average person will not be prepared. But it's coming, guys. It is coming. And if you won't think about it, you won't prepare for it. And if you won't prepare for it, you are a victim in waiting. Think about it. I write in several of my books. I write about the horrible things in my books. I don't dwell on them because I don't like to. I don't, as I said, I think on Patreon, anybody who has been involved in real violence, I mean personal violence, I don't mean standing off, and I don't diminish the pulling the trigger stuff at all, because that is violence. But I mean real violence. Interpersonal violence, where the person is there trying to kill you. And I've said, if you want to understand some of that, read some of the stories of home invasions. Read the Christian Newsom murders out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Read one out of, and I forget her name. I worked the case on this motorcycle club, the Missing Links, after her kidnap and torture murder. It happened out in Belton, Missouri. Look up Tiny Mercer or Missing Links, and you can see that. Anyway, you can find these stories. They're not publicized enough because they are so gruesome that the average person doesn't want to think about them. But the kind of horror that is brought to people on a daily basis in our country right now is beyond what most people are aware of, would understand, or even want to think about. And that's the problem. If you won't think about it, you won't prepare for it. And that's what's coming our way. That's what's coming our way from the inside with the cartels and others. Anyways, I was saying I write about some of this in my books. I write about cannibalism. I write about slavery. And don't think that can't be coming your way. This is not about, well, yeah, I guess it is trying. It's trying to inform you. I would prefer not to scare you, but if fear is what it takes, then so be it. But you have to start thinking about this. You have to start understanding this is not just a possibility, but a probability. And if you're not ready for it, it is the thought of what could happen to you and your family and your children is just horrendous. It's something that, you know, some of us have been aware of for decades. Most people haven't. And that's why most people will be victimized. And that's the purpose for this channel, is to try to inform people so you will be knowledgeable, so that you will prepare. You will start to accept. You will start to understand these things are possible. You'll start thinking about them. You'll start preparing for them. Okay. It's good. You want to prepare for those things that are happening on a daily basis. You know, the economy, things like that. And there are some real threats there coming too. But you have to also project farther out, because you have to integrate your preparedness. That's what I talk about, integrative preparedness. Everything that you do for the long term should also improve your life short term, and you need to be ready. Yeah. Food, water, defense, shelter, people. That's what I talk about in here. I'll leave it there. This is the complete plan. Okay, I could make videos for 20 years and never cover everything that I've already covered completely in here. That's why you need them. I had a guy the other day says, I don't have time to read 7 books. I says, who said read 7? But you got time to read 1 book? You got time to read a chapter a day? In a month, you'll be done with the book. You need the information in here. And it's a great story. You'll love the story. You will love the story. You'll love the people and the way that things are handled, the justice, the rewards, everything. You'll love it. And there's a lot. It's full of instructions on those. I might have told. I think I'm going to do one here in just a minute on for the Patreon channel on how I heated my gym with beer bottles. I've told that story before, but it's been a while. And I think it's a great illustration, especially coming along with Tom Usher's series he's doing on lighting. How do you provide light? How do you provide heat? And I heated my entire gym with beer bottles. I'm going to tell you how I do that over on Patreon. Anyway, that's it. Think about the unthinkable. How do I think about the unthinkable, Steve, if I can't think about it? Well, you can think about it. Listen to the things that I say, and then think about it. Get that out of your mind. That can't happen. It can happen. It has happened thousands of times throughout history, everywhere. It can happen, and very probably will happen at some point. The only question is, when is that point? Is it 10 years from now? Is it next year? Is it next month? Is it next week? Okay. All right, guys, have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Come join us on the Patreon channel. You'll be glad that you did. Books are on the website. Get ready to get your Stone Mountain mugs when I tell you they're ready. Probably be a couple of weeks. And we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparing well starts with thinking right. So think right, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.